Today on this podcast, we have the privilege of interviewing our guest speaker, Shan, who does marriage mentoring for church. She'll be sharing about her experiences and what she thinks is important in supporting and maintaining a relationship. Are you ready to dive in? Let's hear what she has to say. Hi everybody. So today we'll be interviewing our guest speaker, Shan. Our topic today is on maintenance and support for relationships. So we'll be here just to interview and ask Shan some questions. Before we start, Shan, why don't you share some fun things about you or what you're doing now?
I'm actually a homemaker. So I have 3 kids and I've been married to my husband Michael for about 19 years now.
19 is very long. Almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
So why don't you share a little bit about what you do as well for marriage counseling?
Well, the reason why I went into marriage mentoring is because we were impacted by our church premarital course before we got married. So we attended the program and it taught us very useful lessons about communication, about what love truly means from a diplomacy, as well as the key to asking and releasing forgiveness. And we thought that these are the important values that we can pass down to the younger couples and next generation. It's really a privilege for us to be able to journey with married couples, to support them one at a time, to go through the different seasons of their life. For Michael and myself, we are trained and certified by Bridging Path Singapore, so I want to give them credit as well. And they taught us how to use, prepare, and reach this. It's a set of resources to guide married couples and journey with them from struggling to thriving. We do know that we are just mentored in this journey, and if they have additional further support, we would actually recommend them to pastoral care or professional mentoring counselor who can help to journey with them if they have red flags and serious issues that is beyond what mentoring can do for them. Yeah. So in short, it's really a privilege for us to journey with married couples, to see them grow, flourish, and deepen their relationship.
Other than also what you got to experience when you first joined marriage mentoring, also wanted to ask about your client profiles also. I think we're a little bit curious. Are all of the couples that you mentor mainly because their relationship needs a little bit more help, or are there also couples who
they just want to strengthen their relationship? Like there's not much issue going on, but they just want to deepen their connection.
Yeah, so there are different types of couples that we look at. So there are those who are struggling even before they're married, and there are those who need a little bit of help. Actually, they are quite strong already, and just a little nudge and a different perspective to help them balance their views so that they can move to helping others as well. Yeah, so it's actually a spectrum. So we mentored someone who is deciding whether they want to get married, and eventually they got married, and then they continue the journey with us. To those with kids, one children, 2 children, and then those who are really trying to I want to grow so that I can help other people, other couples.
Yeah, so it's really a mix of different dynamics in terms of everyone that you're working with.
Okay. So not just like married couples, because they are in the midst of wanting to get married.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Then maybe everyone that we have met so far, what was one story or one moment that really changed how you see relationship maintenance or partner support?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So recently I was scrolling and I saw this article on Focus on the Family. Yeah, and they talk about Nick Burgett. I'm not sure whether you heard about him. He's an international speaker, author, entrepreneur from Australia. The interesting thing is that Nick was born without limbs, arms, and legs. And as a young boy growing up, he had a lot of bullying cases, depression, or suicidal thoughts. And he wrote a book about love without limbs. And in this book, he said that, I don't know, will anyone love me? Someone like me, a man like me? Can I find love, for someone who has no limbs? Um, and it turned out that the answer was a resounding yes. When he found the girl of his dream in a conference that he was talking in, and they got married and they have 4 children. Obviously, it wasn't easy because Nick has a certain lifestyle where he needed caregivers to support him, his daily activities. And so he had to take his wife through the daily activities that help him function as a human being. And she has to adapt and play a role that is significantly more challenging than other wives would do. But for her, right from the beginning, she saw Nick as highly able rather than disabled. And so that was something that really resonates with me because many a times when we look at our partner, our spouse, we tend to pick things that they're not good enough. And for Nick, it is obvious that he didn't have the legs and the arms to support his daily lifestyle. But for the wife to see him as highly able, she really has to change her perspective totally. Yeah. And Nick truly is highly able. He could skydive, skate, he can swim. He defies the odd of somebody without legs. Yeah. But they have their own challenges because he, as a father, he couldn't hold his babies, he couldn't change the diapers, he couldn't bathe them. Many things that a normal dad would do, he will not be able to do it because of his physical disability. But for him, he said, I try my best to love my children with whatever I can. And to his wife, that is good enough. The way he loves his children is more than what she can expect. And I think in relationship, whether with disability, with no disability, marriage is about love and understanding. Yeah, looking beyond what the person limitation is and looking at being grateful for what the person can do for the marriage and for the children.
Are there any trends of relationship maintenance behaviors or partners and love behaviors that people should know?
So for marriage mentoring, we usually give our encourage our mentees to look at 2 aspects of communication, which is assertiveness and active listening. So assertiveness means that you identify your needs and your feelings and you express it out using the I wish statement. So if I can give you an example, for someone who is not assertive and critical, they would say, you don't seem to care about how I feel, you're not listening, you're not a good listener, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. For someone who is assertive, the same situation, they can actually say, I would really appreciate if you could validate my feelings and not give me solution, because that will make me feel that you are actually listening and I will feel loved. So using the I statement versus the you statement. You statement becomes like we are trying to change the person, but I statement is where we become assertive and convey our needs and feeling in a respectful and polite. So that's number 1, assertiveness. Number 2 is active listening. And by that, I mean putting away the mobile phone, the devices, and any distraction, and having that eye contact with the person to show that you are present and you hold the space for the person to. Meaning you do not interrupt, you do not jump to conclusion, do not resist whatever the person is saying, but giving that person that attention, the time to finish articulating her emotions. Because emotions are real. Whether or not we can see it from the person's perspective, it's actually a skill that we need to learn. But active listening helps you to be in that space where you said, you matter to me, your feelings matter to me, your thoughts matter to me, and I'm gonna stay here until you finish. And after that, you paraphrase, you restate, you seek clarity. How can I do that for you? Rather than saying, I've already done that, you haven't realized it. Being defensive is one way to stop the communication and start to live more. So we do need to tear down on the various wall that slowly builds up by being assertive and practicing active listening.
So it's also like not really much about what people say, but it's how it's phrased and how it's said.
Correct. Yeah. So there's actually in the marriage mentoring concept, right, there are four areas that people would use to attack: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and putting the partner down. So these are the things that we will help our mentees be aware that they are doing certain things that will not help the relationship, and then we will equip them with tools to replace these negative behaviors and condition them to say, hey, this doesn't work. You have tried that before. How about you try active listening and being consensitive, and being grateful when your partner is attempting to do exactly what you wish for, rather than saying, he is listening, but it's not good enough, or he's saying yes to me, but I think it's just lip service. So rather than commenting on the effort, why not we affirm the little effort and then slowly help the person see that you are actually willing to sow into the relationship, and the party will be more receptive with it.
And I think the part where she mentioned about clarifying and rephrasing your partner's sentences, right, is to avoid assumptions. Because I think from what I've heard from a lot of my friends, they always assume that their partner is like this, is like that. Instead of clarifying, then they just jump to conclusions and assume certain stuff, which is not very enough for the relationship. Yes. When you're working with couples, how do you help them utilize emotional coping strategies in dealing with conflicts to strengthen the relationship?
That's a good question. So we also talk about conflict resolution. That's a big part of the journey. So there are actually a few steps that we need to identify in terms of conflict resolution. First, both parties must be willing to enter into this space where they proactively seek out ways to resolve. If one party is willing, then we will work with that one party first to see how he or she can actually win trust of the other party to enter into this space called conflict resolution stage. So first and foremost, we identify a place for discussion, because many a times when we want to talk to our spouse, sometimes the person is exhausted and the outcome may not be what we want. So we need to identify a place where we are relaxed, where we are comfortable, where we don't have too many things bothering us or the kids running around, to say, hey, I'm going to set aside this time to talk about us. And protecting this time is precious. And the next thing is actually identifying the problem. So going back to the case of, for example, a man who likes to use his devices, and the wife is feeling ignored because she wants to talk and he is saying, I can't talk to you right now, and he's just scrolling his mobile phone, or playing his games. So that's the problem that we identify. The next step is to list down the contributing factors. Why do they enter into this problem? So, for example, the man is not spending time with the woman, and the woman is not feeling love, or the man is feeling exhausted and he wants time to de-stress, decompress, and chill before entering into a more heavy conversation. Then after that, you have to list down the past attempts that you have tried and it's not successful. For example, I paint a scenario for you. The man will tell the woman, you stop controlling me. I want to use my phone anytime I want, and I don't want you to be like my mother and nag at me. And then the woman will escalate and starts to belittle the man. You are behaving like a child, and that's why I need to control your usage of your mobile phones. So they continue to criticize each other. And for the man, if his love language is affirmation, words of affirmation, to him, this sounds like an attack. And he'll put up a wall and he'll take up whatever weapons that he has to attack back, so that his ego will be protected. And for a woman, if her love language is quality time, she will feel like you don't love me anymore. You used to pursue me when we were dating, talking to me for hours, and now you're not even looking at me when I want to talk to you. What's happening? What has changed? You have changed. You notice how it escalates with criticism, attacks, and sooner or later they just sleep in their own rooms, one on the sofa, one in the bedroom, they go into stonewalling, they refuse to talk to each other for the rest of the day. And then the issue gets swept under the carpet. And then when they meet their friends, they pretend that nothing is wrong and they go through life like that. So how do we de-escalate? Recognizing that there are attempts to solve the issue, but they are not healthy behaviors and actions. So that's the next step that we take them to. Let's brainstorm what are the 5 solutions that you think may help. So each of them come with maybe a few solutions. Without judging, they listen. And then after that, they learn to practice assertive listening and say, alright, I'm hearing that you say this method will help. And then the other person will paraphrase, yes, I think it will help because, or give comments and feedback that is polite and not aggressive. And sometimes when we find that the couple is being too intensive, we tell them perhaps it's useful to have a time out. Meaning you go into your room, cool down, listening to some music, be quiet, process your thoughts alone, and then come back when you're ready. And it's important for us to tell them that it's okay to ask for time out. Instead of trying to hold that person by the collar and say, no, talk to me tonight, finish the conversation before you go to sleep. Because sometimes it really, really doesn't work, especially for a man. Men and women, we are created differently by God. And so for a man, they process by internalizing their thoughts and their feelings. For a woman, we process by talking. And we want to like just grab the guy by the collar and say, talk to me, or else you're not going to go home, you're not going to sleep. And the man is like, I have to work tomorrow, don't you understand? And for them, it's just, they're asking for time out. And so we have to look at the underlying reasons why they are backing away. And sometimes asking for time out is helpful because it protects the relationship from going into a nasty space where we say things or do things that we regret. So learn to pick your battles and not allow emotions to drive us into a space where we will regret later. Yeah, and also going to having quiet time is really important, especially for believers. Talking to the Lord, because sometimes, for example, myself, when I have emotions that it's getting a bit out of hand, my husband will say, hey, why don't you talk to God? He listens to you much better than I do. And he's able to be patiently allow you to ventilate. And so initially I resist. I take it as a sign that, hey, you don't want to talk to me. But when I practice talking to the Lord, going for silence and solitude, really releasing my emotions to the Lord and say, God, how can my husband treat me like that? And then allowing God to speak to me and say, maybe you need to slow down, be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. And he will affirm me that you're still loved by your husband, except that sometimes you are quick to say something that he is, not ready to receive. Give him some time, appreciate him, perhaps his love tank is low, pour love into his life, and he will in turn pour it back to you because both of you still love each other.
So it's really like about the capacity at that moment in time also, and how much space you take and to realize as well that not everyone is always at 100%.
Yes. Yeah. So I realized that having God in the relationship as a threefold cord is so important for my marriage with my husband. Yeah. And also journeying with the other couples because we have to practice what we teach them. Walk the talk.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah, practice what we preach. So whenever we get into conflict, we will be reminded, hey, didn't we say this to the couple the other day? Let's put it into practice. And so mentoring really strengthens our relationship with each other. And so one of the areas where we can actually encourage couples to strengthen their relationship is volunteer and serve together in a community. Because when you start giving to other people, you realize how blessed you are already in your marriage, in your relationship. And that's when gratitude will produce more love and helps to bond the couples together.
We have received live reports from downtown. Police are saying that a woman has been seen arguing with her partner because he lacked the proper communication skills. Street interviews are ongoing and we will get back to you again for further updates.
Okay, so what are your views on social support within couples? Can social support ever reduce independence or self-dependence?
So when I heard about this question, I was reminded about the marriage vow that you say, for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, for richer or poorer, I give you my heart. And so in a marriage, social support doesn't just mean that, I support you at good times, but I support you even when things are challenging and difficult. Yeah. And this is a promise to stand by your partner in all seasons of your life. And because we are all wired differently, social support means different things to a man versus a woman. So when we talk about the man, maybe they really need their own space, play soccer with the other guy friends. And so when he's stressed, we give you the space to say, hey, why don't you ask this person out for a drink or, play soccer with your friends and take whatever time you need to just relax. And for a woman, we need to talk. So social support for us means your husband says, hey, I take care of the kids. And you go out, find your friends, and then chit-chat. Yeah. So my husband actually says, hey, why don't you go overseas with your friends, your female friends, and then leave the 3 kids at home. I'll take care of them. I'll make sure that they go to school on time. They are well fed. And when you come back, you have happier kids, you have a happier wife, happier family. And so I was really grateful that he supported me in that sense by allowing me to find my own group of friends, giving me time to do things that I would enjoy.
How can the small daily acts of support influence a relationship over time?
So usually when we do mentoring, we also give the couple an analogy about love tank. Yeah, how each of us, we have our own love tank, and then we need to constantly sow love tokens into our partner's love tank. Because when a love tank is full, when you face any conflict, it's typically resolved faster, much faster than when your love tank is empty and you're trying to give from an empty perspective. So talking about daily activities that can actually contribute to the love tank, I think one is daily conversations. Yeah, being intentional about wanting to get into the life and space, the feelings and the thoughts of your partner. I think we need to be intentional about it. So for my husband and I, we try to go out for lunch, and then we talk about not just the functional thing about our kids and your studies, but what is God speaking to you? What excites you about the relationship? What are the dreams and hopes and visions that you have for our relationship, our career, our parenting journey? And when we have questions that are scoped in a very open-ended way, it invites the other party to contribute, to open up our expectations, our desires. And from there, we see where we align, what we can work on, and that we can progress to the next step. So that's daily dialogue, and then daily compliments. So my husband likes to crack jokes, and then I'll be like, oh, that's a fantastic joke. I love that joke. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, of course, And then my kids are picking it up, and it was like cracking jokes, during dinner table, and that makes the whole environment very light and happy. Yeah, so I compliment him for that, and sometimes he will get me some drinks that I like, and I say, hey, thank you for buying this cup of tea that I really enjoy. And he will go purchase a flower and bring a stock home on random occasions, and I'll say, hey, thank you for showing love. Even when I least expect it, even if it's not a birthday or Valentine's Day. Yeah, so appreciating the little acts of kindness is really important. Yeah, and when he wash dishes, we will appreciate it. The children, myself, we say thank you for washing the dishes. Yeah, and for me, I love to do laundry, and I said, hey, let me serve you by doing the laundry. You don't have to do it. I'll do it. Yeah. And then when the kids and my husband appreciates me, I feel like, hey, I don't mind doing more loads of laundry every day because I feel that it's feeding my love tank, giving me that love token that I need. So daily compliments help, not just between the partner, but getting your whole family to do that, your children to do that next time when you're parent with kids. Yeah. So that's surprises, random acts of kindness, buying flowers. So these are the activities that we can do to enhance the relationship. Of course, texting each other with emojis, saying I love you, I appreciate you. It's all those little acts of kindness that keeps the relationship exciting and fresh. Because the moment when we stop doing it, let's say for example, when the kids come and we say, I'm just too busy feeding the babies to even text I love you, then the value of their relationship depreciates. So we need to keep appreciating each other so that we will not let the kids or the daily activities or the work take first place. Our spouse should always come first in terms of relationship. Yeah, and when the marriage is strong, the kids have an environment where they can really model after, and in their marriage next time, they will be able to try this. We see a lot of marital breakdown because sometimes when we observe how our parents behave and we tend to model after them, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously, and we bring it back to our relationship. So when we work with the couple, we always tell them, hey, maybe you can share about your upbringing and how has our upbringing impacted your marriage. And sometimes they really go deep into their upbringing and say, oh, my parents are also not talking, so I don't see the need to talk. And then we have to change the way they see conversation and communication by saying that you may feel that, as a man, you don't really have to talk because your father is always the silent one, the quiet one at home. But your wife needs it. Will you be able to open up your feelings and share a little bit more so that she can feel more connected with you?
Consistency is key in relationship as well. It's not just like during the honeymoon phase that you say I love you or like show affection to my partner, but also even after marriage, you still has to continue, you still has to persist. And like even after having children, it's like monkey see, monkey do. Whatever your children see the parents do, they will reflect on them as well. So it's how they perceive relationship would be like the children.
Correct. So we actually tell our children that we are getting you to pack up after yourself, put your clothes into the box, stop using your mobile phones for the sake of your spouse, for the sake of your family.
Even at their age.
Yes. So that your spouse will come back to us and say thank you, mom and dad, for raising such a good son and daughter that can really help in the family, in the marriage. Yeah.
I think this reminds me of something that I was talking with some friends recently about seeing our parents as well. Like a lot of us have parents who are not really emotionally present. So that kind of translates into how we are growing up and who we are now. But then one of my friends brought up this very interesting point about wanting to break the generational barrier about like last time parents are always closed off, they don't feel like they want to impart. But now in this society, in this world, there's a lot more people becoming more vocal, more open to sharing. So he was saying that next time when he wants to become a father, he also wants to break that and that I don't want to be a distant father, but a father that is present to my kids. And I felt that was very nice because I think even for me, so like thinking about who I want to be as a mother or as a partner, someone who is open and who is able to support my spouse. Yeah, I think I really agree with what you said about when in marriage also spouse comes first. Yeah, I think you mentioned something about that earlier. Like ultimately it's also the family, two parents and what comes forth with children as well. Yeah.
Do you think romantic support or why is romantic support sometimes more powerful than support from non-romantic relationships?
Between relationship or romantic relationship and friends and family, I think it's important to establish a social support in that romantic relationship. Yeah. We are supposed to leave our father and mother and cleave to our spouse because two shall become one. So if we rely too much on our family, even our parents, and we constantly go back to them and say, oh, today I had an argument, I'm not going to sleep at home, I'm going to go to my parents' house, then this relationship wouldn't have a chance to deepen its roots. Because we keep going back to, like I say, our parents or our close friends that we confide in without giving this partner or this relationship a chance to go deeper in that conversation. And when we guide our couples, mentees, we talk about intimacy, not just the physical sense, but the spiritual, the social, the emotional sense. Yeah, and then we realize that intimacy, it takes time to be established. I think because of the nature of the marriage, we are to become one as a team. So when one party is feeling down, it naturally affects the other party as well. So when we are able to encourage and affirm our spouse, we're actually encouraging and affirming ourselves. So when we build up this marriage, it strengthens us directly or indirectly as a person and our children. So I think it's so important to sow into this relationship. Of course, we can go to our, let's say, a female friend to confide, but we also need to be discernment, like we shared before the video, that we need to understand that our friends come from different perspectives. They have different expectations of their partner. And so when they share about whether they agree or disagree with our conflict, our issue at home, we take it with a pinch of salt. We respect them. We trust that they have our benefit. We give them a benefit of our trust that whatever they share is for our benefit. We also need to go into our own person and ask ourselves, what do we actually value in a relationship? And what kind of value do I want to impart to my children? And what do I want to see in my spouse? For example, if you're still dating, can you accept this characteristic of this person? To what extent is this acceptable? What extent is it a deal breaker? And open your eyes wide, ask yourself difficult questions, seek help with your peers or somebody who's more mature, who have journeyed much longer in this relationship path. And constantly reflect, say, is this aligned with what I believe? No. If it doesn't, then to what extent do I need to stop the relationship? Yeah, because if you're constantly struggling and you don't feel the peace because this person is doing certain thing that's against your values, you do have to take stock of why you're feeling this way and reconcile it before you go deeper to the relationship. But if you're married, then you have to work with your spouse, say, can you let go of this or play less frequently so that it does not become an influence on addiction or impacts our relationship in a negative way. So having support, I think the question is about social support as well, right? Having your friends as a sounding board is useful, but ultimately you are the one who has to make the decision. Choose to love, choose to forgive, choose to see things from a different perspective. Yeah, friends and family members can provide a different perspective, but you have to decide what truly matters for you. So, for example, spiritual intimacy is when you talk about your faith in God and how God is speaking to you and correcting you and changing you, becoming helping you become more Christ-like. So when my husband tells me you need to go to God when we have a conflict, I would tell him, that's a great advice. Initially I resisted and said, no, we need to talk tonight. But I realized that what he said is so true. And then when I come back and said, God speak to me about this area of my life, and he says, you know what, God asked me to apologize to you. So I'm so sorry that I said this to you last night. And I said, oh, thank you. I love God even more because God is speaking to you, about our relationship. And my heart softened when he apologized. Not that he is 100% wrong, but he says, I will apologize even if I'm 99% right and I'm 1% wrong. I'll still apologize to you because I love you and I value the relationship. And when I hear that, my heart just softens because I know that sometimes I can be at fault, and yet he takes the initiative to apologize first. Because the act shows that he values me and the relationship a lot more than him being right. Yeah, and that gives me that space to say, hey, when I'm wrong, I should also.
Yeah. So I think what you shared reminds me of the phrase vulnerability begets vulnerability, where him apologizing opens the door for you to also feel feel comfortable in opening yourself up as well. Do you have any additional points that you would like to share that you didn't mention earlier, or advice that you would like to give? Yeah, for people and our listeners.
Yeah, I think that learning to love and forgive is very, very important. And by love, I mean looking at how the Lord sacrificed his life on the cross to demonstrate his love. It does take sacrifice in courtship and marriage. To say that there's no sacrifice involved is just painting a very fairy tale like picture of marriage, because there will always be trade-offs. Yeah, and sometimes because we're imperfect being, our spouse will say things or do things that hurt us. We have to learn to be quick to forgive, because bitterness is like a root. It's like a seed in the ground. If you're not careful, we keep sowing the wrong thoughts or the wrong actions. The bitterness will grow and it will manifest itself into anger, frustration, and sometimes it will lead to separation. But on the other hand, if we sow love into a relationship, it will blossom into something more beautiful than we ever could think or imagine. So how we want our marriage to end up, it's what we start sowing today and what we are careful by being intentional about the things that we say or things that we do, our tone is so important. So releasing forgiveness is a very important part of any relationship, be it father and mother, children, or spouse. We need to be very intentional and build up this area of our life. It's a process, it's a spiritual discipline that only we can do for ourselves, that we can control. Because we have seen couples who are unable to let go of little differences and it escalates. Now we've also seen couples who are able to forgive major issues like betrayal, addiction, abuse, and they can reconcile. So how we live our life, what decisions we make, can actually decide and determine whether we will have a relationship. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think marriage is supposed to help us be a better person. And if we take on that perspective, we will grow from glory to glory as an individual and as a
Okay. Thank you
so much.
I learned a lot.
Inviting me for this podcast.
Yeah. Okay, I guess with that we'll end this segment. We hope that you have enjoyed all the wonderful insights from Nishan and that you enjoyed listening to our podcast. Yes.
You've learned a thing or two.
Yeah, I have.
I did. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Reports have updated that the woman has calmed down. All the man needed to do was listen and assure her. To practice assertiveness and active listening, I am Celeste and this is brought to you by V3G1 News. The following program will report on how partner support can affect relationship maintenance and support.
Thank you, Celeste. Now moving on to our literature review. Firstly, Shan taught us two healthy aspects of communication. Assertiveness, which involves identifying and expressing one's needs and feelings using I statements, and active listening, which involves being present and holding space for the other person to speak and feel heard.
Secondly, gratitude in a relationship is important as appreciating one's partner through simple expressions like thank you, as well through daily conversation and compliments can help sustain and support their relationship. Supporting communities and colleagues finding in the article understanding the role of relationship maintenance in enduring couple partnership in legal development.
Thirdly, Shan also introduced the Godsman 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse as discussed in lecture, highlighting how conflicts can escalate when these patterns emerge. She emphasized the importance of recognizing such movements and replacing negative behaviors with relationship maintenance ones. For example, instead of using global statements like you always or you never, we can use I feel statements, which often soften the tone and help reduce the likelihood of further conflict escalations. These ideas on relationship maintenance are also supported by the findings of Trinity and colleagues.
Next, on building emotional competence, Shan explained that it begins with learning how to effectively manage and navigate conflict. This aspect is an extension of findings in the article by Lodis, which focus more on broader relational or contextual factors rather than micro-level emotional skill development.
Lastly, to wrap it up, the secret to maintaining a healthy and fresh relationship is that both parties must be willing to work together to achieve the same goal, and that support is not just about helping, but how you help.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.